Hello, this is a Bluthner Grand 880 centimetres long, made in about 1875. It has the beautiful lyre system that they had in those days, and I think particularly attractive, and really interested in getting this piano into stock and restoring it. But I just want to see if there's any interest first of all. That's just dust on there. The casework is good generally. There's a lot of work to do on the piano, and that's why we're interested to find out first if there's any interest from the public. It's difficult to decide sometimes when there's work to do. I'll just show you the kind of work we need to do, but as you can see from the case, it's in extremely good condition. It's ebonised and almost like an original ebonised finish, which is difficult to find with hardly any flaws in it at all. You can see there, it's a slight crazing there. I don't think that's going to come off, but if we had it in the stock, we just obviously double check that. Could be fully repolished, and as you know, that a lot of pianos are redone in black these days, but it's nice to get the original ebonised kind of finish. Key tops are one piece ivory. I imagine they're not original, and I think they're ivory too. Sometimes you get bone when it's one piece. You can see there, that's kind of quite patterned there. It might be bone. I'm not an expert on keys in any way, but they look nice. As you can see, some lines there which we can't really get rid of. Obviously you can replace all the ivories, but I doubt whether anyone who bought it would want that. It's 85 keys, and you can certainly practice and learn on an 85 key piano, as we've said before. The lyre legs slightly thinner for this age of piano, and the lyre is just, I think, wonderful. Not sure why they stopped doing that. Obviously, it's fashion and cosmetics, but I think they're particularly beautiful. And this stool is excellent too, very high quality piano stool. Now it has been restrung and reconditioned at some stage, and this is a bit of an older Bluthner frame, so a bit off because they have fleur-de-lis on the very old Bluthners. So this is an in-between one, just becoming more looking like the modern frame, and you can see it's kind of overstrung, and the strings are a different height here. I don't know if you can pick that out, and there's overstrung under there, so it's a little bit different from the normal style. And it's also fishtail, as you get on a lot of the Bechstein's Model 5 is fishtail. This is what we call fishtail when it's pointed at both sides like a fish's tail. Most pianos are rounded nowadays, but they were moving towards a more rounded style later on, the Bluthners. Now that's serial number 16611, which is the same inside the piano, just to verify it. It does say about 1875, but as you can see, we've got dates 1897 here. So presumably it was reconditioned, it would have been restrung perhaps just after 1897. Later on, Bluthners themselves did a lot of restoration, and you end up with 1929 in a lot of the pianos, with the latest state there, when they make very, very old pianos like this one. Now the main issue with buying this one is that the tuning pin is just beginning to go a little bit loose. Now I have tried setting this one here, which did tune well after, it did go much tighter. Setting is where you just roughen the wood up, where it's got a bit of a groove after it's been tuned for many times. So you just roughen the wood up by just tapping it. This is a rest pin set. I've shown this before, but just to remind you that you hold that tight, and then you hit it on the top with a hammer, and just to roughen the wood, not to hit it right in. Now the tone of the piano is excellent around this area, very much like a Bluthner would you'd expect to be, slightly different, but beautiful full tone. And that's slightly patchy around this area, where they were just working still on the tone and the style of the piano. So I don't think it'll come up quite as well as perhaps one that's made in, say, 1900 or even 1885, when they seem to have perfected the tone on the piano, and it's very consistent right through to 1925, where they changed the style. You can see some dampers there, a little bit skew, and I think the damping needs improving a bit. Now it does have an issue with tone as we get to the top end here. It gets really soft, and now often these top hammers are very soft. It's very hard to get them to sound strong, but in this case there's a fault. So there's a fault on these top hammers. You can actually see someone who has tried to take some of them off there, but they're still touching the frame. Just when you play gently, you can get them to, if you play them hard enough, you can get them to sound, but that's obviously just still touching the frame. So that's easy to cure. We just need to shave more of the hammer off. I think you should be able to see on the video here where they are touching the frame, just catching it, and that's causing them to sound very soft. If you play it loud enough, you can obviously get it to sound, but when it's soft playing, it doesn't sound at all. So this is a beautiful Bluthner grand piano, 180 centimeters long, made in about 1878 and restored. I don't know when the last restoration was done, but the hammers are good. They just need shaving off at the top, we mentioned, and I think in terms of, we would like to restring the whole piano and then redo the whole of the inside. It'll look immaculate then. The outside looks so beautiful. I'd love to take on this piano. It's going to be a fine instrument, almost the same as the younger ones. It's about 1880, I think, that they start to standardise and then become very similar right through to 1925. This is a patent action Bluthner. We've got plenty of videos of those. The key weighting, well, as usual, we need to do that 60 is too high for middle C, and it varies throughout, so that's something we would obviously do. There's the option of setting the pins instead of replacing the rest plank. They do set well, so if we sold it and we were just to set the pins, you have to be really careful with central heating and so on. You'd have to, it'll be fine really for 20 or 30 years if you look after it well, but if it does dry out, then the tuning pins will start to go loose, and then you would need to replace the rest plank. Obviously that could be done at a later date. It's going to be a lot dearer if we have to replace the rest plank and then we also refinish the frame, soundboard and so on. So let's have a quick listen to the piano. I haven't got my camera stand, so I'm just going to use my left hand here. But it does have a beautiful bass sound, a bit out of tune there. It's slightly patchy as you get with these older ones, but I think it can be forgiven for that in the sense that the rest of it is just so beautiful, including the tone round there where you want it to sing the most. And it's a good tenor, but as you can hear, it starts to get a bit patchy. Might be slightly better if it's restrung. So if you're interested in the piano, please do write to info@robertspianos.com. Make comments under the video too if you like. The lyre-shaped style I just think is so beautiful, and the client is an interior designer and was looking and hunting for one of these. There aren't so many of these. Let's say there's about 1 in 30 Bluthners of this style, I would think is about right. So thank you very much for listening.